Hello, and welcome to New World Comics Podcast. I believe this is podcast number 3. I'm Buck Berlin. I'm the owner, operator, head honcho of New World Comics. Joined with me is Stephanie Cerny. She helps with the everything. And we have Oklahoma City's own the Jerry Bennett with us.
Woo! Thank you for having me.
I mean, everyone else was busy, so
I knew that had to be the reason.
And joining us is the voice of God, Brad Reed from Nerds to Men.
Spooky.
Man, that's dangerous.
Just in case I don't cut it as my hosting abilities.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah. I will warn everyone right off the bat, this one might go a little bit longer than the typical New World podcast, all 2 of them, just because we have so much to cover. We have all of Jerry's stuff, and then we have the most epic New World story in the history of my tenure here at the store. So we should jump right in. Jerry, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, why you're important, and why you are the Jerry Bennett.
Well, I am a full-time freelance artist. I'm focused in comics, but I dabble in about everything. I've been working on storyboards for local stop-motion animated films, contracted through like DreamWorks and things like that. And so, and then I've been doing lots of different comics. Currently, you can see my stuff in Okie Comics. Issue number 2 is out. And I get to do a really fun story for Jeff Provine, who's the author. And I've been doing just a ton of licensed sketch cards for different trading card companies. Tops, I've been doing Star Wars, Walking Dead, and now currently Stranger Things.
So you'd say that you're kind of a big deal.
I won't say that, but I'm very
I'll
happy.
Say that.
Yeah, everyone else will.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy to be involved with so many things and getting to draw so many fun things.
Well, cool. Yeah. And for those that don't know Jerry, which are like 3 people in the world, he is an amazing artist. Not quite Natasha Alterici level, but he's getting there.
I try.
Yeah. Which fun story about her, which we'll have her on someday. Every time she's in the store, I leave a How to Draw Comics book for her. She doesn't think it's funny at all. I have a great time with it.
You're bad.
Yep. I'm the worst.
I love it.
So yeah, you've been doing stuff up here for years, so much so that
gosh.
I can't remember a time without you, which, you're just that ingrained in part of the store, I think of you as one of my brothers, just like, I'd say that you and Father Shane were probably the closest friends I've got out of this entire place. So,
that's cool, dude. Thank you.
Definitely. But I want to start off with your history here, just to give people some context. Wow,
that's a large question, or it demands a large answer. Just because, like you said,
it's okay. I'm a big dude.
We are big dudes. You have right. I have been doing comics. I've been doing comics for oh gosh. Forever. I mean, I feel like I've been doing them forever. I got to do a comic book with Jackson Compton called Nader Zenith. He's a local author, and he had a really fun sci-fi story. And I should go even further back because I guess that's not even near as old as our relationship.
I remember you coming in and asking about Spider-Man comics, and I kind of gave you the lowdown of like, hey, this is what's been going on, and this is kind of where it seems it's heading, and then we just kind of hit it off after that. And then
really
one day,
did.
Yeah. Then I was talking about something, and I was looking for an artist to do a thing. You were like, "Hey, I'm an artist that can do a thing," and you showed me some of your stuff, and I was just floored.
You were impressed. I didn't know why, but I love that you were impressed. But yeah. I mean, this has been my comic book shop ever since I moved to Northwest Oklahoma City, and it's always a fun atmosphere. I've always had such fun just hanging out here and talking with people. I mean, I think for as long as I've been here, there's always been this table where people would just sit and hang out and chat about everything, you know.
Oh, yeah, and that's definitely by design. Like I always want to make it feel like a welcoming place where people can come and be part of it.
That's cool.
So.
That's mission accomplished. Because I mean, it got me here and it kept me here, and so
Cool.
and I love the fact that you've been so supportive of me and my journey as a comic book artist, and you've hosted so many different things that I've been a part of, like for book signings with my comics. Free comic book day, you'll have me come out and participate doing free sketches for people.
For me, that's the most fun.
Oh,
Seeing
it's
you do
total
that.
fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've just been, it's been a total joy to be a part of.
A total joy every single moment.
I would, sure, 98.3% total
So,
joy.
That's a very specific amount.
If my math is correct, I think that this next point that I have fills in that 1.7%. So I do the superhero schools, right?
Yes,
Yeah. I talked you into a couple of them.
you did.
Yeah,
I can't believe you did it, but you did.
One of them, actually, one of the first ones that we did, actually ended with us having to come up with one of the rules that we have for superhero school. We got Jerry to be Lex Luthor, which you'll see a picture here, hopefully, of the costume that I made for him, and he was doing a really involved Lex Luthor, and you know he was starting to scare some of the kids. Even like he was doing a great job of it, and then one of our people involved brought up this volcanic green glass that we were having stand in for the kryptonite, and somehow someone wasn't keeping track of it, and one of the little girls in the class that we nicknamed the Instigator, because it wasn't the first time that she's done something out of sorts.
This wasn't the last time.
No. Which here in a second I'll get to the last time that we saw her. So she actually stabbed you with the kryptonite.
She did.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be funny, but it is.
I must have played the villain part really well.
Yeah, and it was one of those that, like, I saw her leave quickly. You left in not a great mood. And then afterwards, when we were sitting down talking about how everything went, someone said, "Did you know that Jerry got stabbed?" I said, "What? He got...
None of us knew.
Who stabbed Jerry?"
And I should preface that I didn't actually literally get like blood. No skin was broken, but the costume had a huge gash in it.
Yeah,
yeah,
which
She stabbed you with kryptonite.
Yeah,
yeah. That was
I need to
insane.
build better armor for you next time. Man,
I mean, your skills have advanced since then.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Back then we were still cardboard and duct tape.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to make much else, but
It's great.
yeah. So not long after that, she was in, and we were doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as one of our days. And we had Nick Fury run all the kids through this obstacle course that we had set up. And over in one of the corners, I had someone dressed up as Ultron.
It was Zach, because Zach was dressed up as Ultron.
Yeah,
Okay,
one of my workers, I had dressed up as Ultron. And we had him behind this box and was going to bust out once all the kids got over there. And Nick Fury had a little EMP, and I had people with the lights ready to kill it and all that. So the kids ran through, did all the stuff, and then Nick Fury was giving them a lecture about the importance of being ready. And then Ultron busts loose and terrifies the kid because, he's just this, the costume made him look like this, hulking monster, and it had light up eyes and a light up mouth. And, Zach did such a great job of just being evil without really even getting near the kids, but he was just terrifying. So all the kids were just like, "Oh my God." And then our Nick Fury pulled out a flashlight, and clicked it as the EMP. Mm-hmm. And then the people at the light, turned off all the lights in the store, and the kids were like, "What?" And then Zach dropped, because he was a robot. So,
Right.
Yeah. And then we finished up superhero school with Nick Fury turning back on the lights, and hey, we're all good. And we forgot to give Zach a game plan of how to get out of there. So he just, being the trooper that he was, just stayed on the floor as a, broken robot. The Instigator started kicking him.
Oh.
Over and over and over. And I was on my way over to stop her, and I caught Zach just looking at, coming back to life, and he went,
That's a very robot sound.
yeah. So
Right.
she wasn't expecting that at all. She turned, and like tears were just running down her face. I've never seen someone cry so intently.
Like anime tears on the
Yeah.
side of her face.
Yeah, she was, and she just stormed off and was like, I am not having a good time. We are leaving right now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
And that's the last time that we saw her.
Really? Seriously? That's
I mean,
amazing.
like I've seen her like in public, like they've come up and be like, "Hey, Buck, hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey, how are y'all?" But but yeah, she definitely got what was coming to her that day.
So you had to make a rule.
Which
Yeah.
it worked out well, just because now it kind of gives a better explanation of things, and something that I've kind of found better in life. We tell everyone that you're not supposed to hurt or be mean to the heroes or the villains, because if you're nice enough to the villains, that sometimes they can become the good guys.
Mhm, which is true.
Oh, that's
very true.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's a fun lesson. That
So,
they-
yeah.
You know-
and it helps protect our
Yeah.
players.
And sometimes, people make sad choices.
Oh yes,
And, you shouldn't stop them because of their sad choices.
absolutely, absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you for being involved in superhero school, and you've been known to make an appearance here or there.
Oh yeah.
But something that people might not realize is how involved you are in our convention.
No, they might. If you've been to New World Comic Con, I think we're heading into our 5th year.
It's our fourth.
Fourth. Okay, I'm losing track. My days just running.
I know.
together.
It feels like we've been doing it a lot longer than we have.
So yeah, and they've been like so gracious to me in this respect as well, because they've always made me like this special guest at all these conventions, and not just a special guest just to get the free table and sell my wares there, but they'll
Wait, you get a free table? Oh, that's changing.
Wow. Man, so long I've been going. Okay. But they do, and I mean they prepare well. They do these really fun panels throughout the day. There's panels throughout the day, but they do this special one asking me the craziest questions and talk about getting to know the Jerry Bennett.
I mean, you
Oklahoma City's own.
Yeah, each
the
year-
Jerry Bennett.
after the first year where I had, I think my best questions, honestly. Every year, like, I don't know if I want to do another panel. It's just going to be the same thing, right? So every time we have to come up with a different thing. Last year we Googled Jerry Bennett, and we got all of our facts that we could out of different Jerry Bennetts in the world. And we cobbled it all together and just assumed like it was the same person. Not unlike Florida Man.
I can't believe all the different unique, really odd Jerry
The
Bennetts.
best was when you murdered someone and then died yourself, and then a couple years later ran 12K or something. You had your best time ever.
And that was in high school.
Yeah, in high school, a couple years after you were 45.
After I was 45.
Yeah, you, sir, have led the life of lives.
I have.
Just all over the place.
I've done it all.
Yeah. So we have something spectacular coming up for you this year.
I can't even. My imagination won't even let me reach that height of.
I'm pretty proud of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to
So
it.
yeah.
I'm totally looking forward to it.
But yeah, we have some questions for you
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
First, what is your social security number? Also, your credit card number.
And you know what? Oddly, they're both the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's not enough. Of one of them, and it's one too many of.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
11, 12. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, if it's 11, 12, then that does help. Yeah.
I mean, it might be one of the Jerry Bennett's numbers.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll just have to.
People have stopped listening right now. We had a good run, didn't we? Yep.
So bad.
Yep. So around the shop, I'll make recommendations from time to time.
Absolutely.
I like to think I'm pretty good at it, but what's your favorite thing that I've recommended to you?
Oh man, there've been so many great suggestions. I think as far as in the last 5 years, my favorite suggestion is probably Dan Slott's run on Silver Surfer.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, I was already interested in the comic because Michael Allred is a great artist and I love his style. But I really didn't know a terrible amount about Dan Slott. I know he'd written a ton of Spider-Man, but
Right.
I never even got to read all that much of it.
And you should know to stay away from his Twitter page, I'm told. Even if you're a fan,
Yeah,
he'll come after you. But I try to separate the artist from the work most of the time.
yeah. Most of the time.
Right now is an exception.
Well, yeah.
But,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that run is just so good because it's put together in such a way that it almost tells you what's going to happen at the end, and then you get to the end and it's oh my god, this has been planned out, this has been carefully plotted. Each and every issue is just so well crafted.
Yeah, and it feels like it was a comic where he was given this carte blanche to do whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that I remember someone describing it as like if Marvel did Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's how I sold it.
Okay, it
Yeah.
was you. I couldn't remember if it was you or not, but it's a perfect description, and to me it's the best kind of Doctor Who stories I could ever get. So it's just fantastic. And they introduced, his companion, for lack of a better word. And she was a fantastic character, and I just fell in love with that whole cast and all the supporting characters.
That's the thing is you fall in love with each and every character, and when he calls his board to me, he says to me, and the board comes, and Dawn was like, its name is To Me. And she starts talking to the board. Yeah,
To me.
So
Yeah.
not to give too much away, but the final issue is of the entire run, which it's only like 25, 30 issues, something like that.
Right.
The omnibus is coming out later this year.
Oh, is it really?
And I'll be stocking. Yeah, it
Ooh.
looks gorgeous.
I bet it does.
The final issue is one of the most heartfelt romantic things that I've ever read, and in all of literature or anything. Like it's so touching, and it's so specific, and it's so perfectly crafted that later when people use characters and they do what the characters will naturally do, it's automatically going to be a callback to this situation, this reference, whether they know it or not.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here's one that I'm real excited to hear about. What's your favorite art suggestion from this place? Like from time to time, I'll do hey, you should do a mashup like with this, and here's a freebie idea. Just draw it, whatever. Do this thing.
That's the fun thing about being an artist. Because there's so many people who don't feel like they're talent. They don't feel like they have great ideas. They have fantastic ideas, but they don't feel like they can draw them. So I get great suggestions from everybody about all kinds of things to draw, and I've gotten a ton of fun suggestions. I'm trying to narrow it down because there's been just a crazy.
Give a couple. Just like we're not trying to put you in a box here. Like
No.
For all perpetuity, this is your choice. Just, what comes to mind?
Well, I'm trying to think of one that you had given me that I actually did make a full print of. There's one that was hugely successful, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
Must have not been that successful.
Shush.
Just saying, paying for everyone's college and all.
Well, and I'll say that everyone knows what It's a Trap. My It's a Trap design.
Yes,
that was a suggestion from the Houston. I have some friends who live in Houston, and they are part of a Houston Ghostbusters club, and so that was actually an idea of theirs, and it's a fantastic idea. Now here, what is my favorite thing? Golly. Well, actually, one of my favorite ideas right now is one that I haven't yet worked up.
Oh, is it the Star-Lord?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's actually like inspired me to do a whole series of pieces. And
I guess so. We don't, speak in vague.
Yeah.
I should spill the beans on it? Or,
go ahead, yeah.
And I guess this will light the fire to have you get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do it.
During Inktober, like I'm very much an amateur artist. Like I love to draw, but I don't really have the time to do it. But Jerry will at least listen to what I do and critiques that kind of thing, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing, not that I'm able to quite do them. But I started doing a Star-Lord that was black and white, and I realized, it would be really cool if we did a black light themed Star-Lord picture.
Absolutely.
With the glowing eyes, and then like the space behind him being what it is would look really, really cool. Under the black light. And at OFCON one year, I saw a Doctor Strange print that was just gorgeous. It was $200, but it was massive. And I had the money, and I just didn't have the wherewithal to cart it around with me. And the guy didn't really want me to leave it at the booth if I, wasn't able to get it. So I was like, okay, I'll get it at the end of the show. So I looked around and was ready to leave, went up to get it, and the guy was like, "Oh, I just sold it." The guy's pulling his car around. I've been crushed ever since.
I know.
Yeah. So that kind of inspired me to start that. So.
And that particular, that actual drawing that you drew, I still keep that. It's right by my monitor.
Oh, cool.
So I'm constantly keeping it in the forefront of my mind whenever I get free time from clients and work on that. So
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally stoked about it.
Awesome. What is a fan favorite thing that you've done that you secretly don't really care for? Not that you hate, I hate it, but it's that's not my favorite thing I've done, or it's I don't really get that concept, but people seem to love it. What?
Well, there's a few things that I've done. I'm not a huge fan of My Little Pony, but one year, there was this whole span of time where I would focus on entering all these contests at a website called WeLoveFine.com.
Oh, the T-shirts,
yeah. All the T-shirt contests, and because they held the licenses for Marvel, for Lucasfilm, everything, and Hasbro, and so they had a My Little Pony contest, and I thought, you know what, I'll just do it because there's a lot of fandom. There's a huge fandom for My Little Pony, and I did one, and I made a print of it, and I'm not ashamed to say that it does attract a very unique audience.
What do you mean, Jerry?
I think I'm just going to leave it at that because.
So you hate the pony fandom, Jerry?
I don't hate the.
Definitely hate people, Jerry. Why are you so full of hate?
See, that is so wrong.
This is why we're friends.
So yeah,
yep.
And I've had people request commissions of different things as well, and I'm not the biggest Harley Quinn fan out there, but I've done a bunch of different unique Harley Quinn-esque commissions. The most unique one was one where Darth Vader took the place of the Joker. I don't know if people know this classic Alex Ross.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the classic Alex Ross image of
it's
Harley.
It's the
Joker.
cover to her first comic.
Yes.
In continuity comic appearance.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they wanted Darth Vader in the place of Joker, and so it turned out to be a great drawing. In fact, I even made prints of it, and that ended up being one of my best-selling prints. To this day, I still sell it. So it's awesome. So I just would have never imagined. I would have never imagined the success that it gets. To this
So
day.
you love the money but hate the art. I see how you feel about that.
You see right through me.
Some people's children. I'm glad you put up with me.
I love you.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
I'm telling my wife. And yours.
She knows.
Let's hear from Stephanie. I feel like I'm talking over.
What?
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Here, you should read number 4.
Insane. What? I'm talking over everybody?
So, like I was saying.
What is the most outlandish thing you've been asked to draw? Probably at Free Comic Book Day. Because I imagine that's when all the crazy requests come.
I have some other questions about that, too, but I want to hear what he says first.
Well, one of the most recent ones from this year, which turned out really good, actually. It was of there's a classic Coppertone ad where a dog.
I expect my royalty checks right meow.
I know, right? Where a dog is pulling on a swimsuit of a girl, a bikini side girl, and so this one gentleman.
You can say he's going to be on the show next week.
Oh, okay. Well, Josh Flowers.
Yeah.
So I use gentleman loosely.
Oh!
I'm kidding. He knows I love him. So, but he asked for a parody of the Coppertone ad using Crypto, the dog, pulling on Lex Luthor, and so that turned out to be a really fun piece.
Cool.
Yeah, I love it.
But you'd say that that's the most outlandish.
Well, I don't know if that's just one of the most. That's one of the more recent ones that come to mind. But why is there one that's on?
Well, I was talking to some of my artist friends who do the Artist Alley stuff.
Oh yeah,
Robert Wilson, the fourth. I was talking to him one day, and he says that there was this guy that had done so many commissions of like this. He had this idea of a woman who was wearing like Daisy Dukes and like a crop top flannel, and then each time that he would come back, he would ask for her in a further state of undress.
Really?
Yeah, to the point, and then like never her doing anything terribly lewd, but just weird things.
That's very interesting.
Like here she is, like washing a mirror. Like, there she is, like changing a tire.
Is it a particular character, or is it just
like it might be a character that this guy made up, but he was just like, here she is doing a thing, and
or he had a fascination with the waitress at Twin Peaks,
or something. But like he wouldn't go to a point, but he was like, I mean, I don't want to be that guy that draws that thing, but I mean, I'll draw to a certain point.
Sure.
So what's the? Do you have anything that you've been asked to do that you were just like, I'm not going to do that at all? And I mean, if it gets too racy, you can kind of speak in broad strokes because we try to keep this thing family friendly.
Sure.
But I mean, is there anything just weird or and not even necessarily sexual or anything? But is there anything that's just like, why do you want like an alien wearing like earmuffs and like bunny shoes or anything? Like.
Well, and those things I don't mind drawing. I mean, there's lots of weird things out there.
I mean, has there ever been anything that stuck out that's just like that's not a thing I want to do?
Well, I think I never did actually figure out if this was like an actual anime thing, but there was an anime mashup that someone had me come up with. And I love anime, but I don't watch enough of a lot of the. There's a huge range of.
It's its whole other section of nerddom that
it is.
Like you can't really dip your toe into the pool. You kind of have to go swimming.
Well, I mean, if you're a true fan, then you're like in all. I mean, just a ton of different shows.
Right.
It's like entering the world of comics.
Yeah.
There was a weird character that I didn't recognize, and it was mashed up with something else that I didn't know, and so I honestly didn't even know what I was drawing when I drew it.
The Spleeblorg got mashed up with what we're going to do.
Oh, so you did see it? Okay, no.
I'm not going to draw that.
So yeah,
How uncouth.
yeah. So I mean that kind of stuff is probably the weirdest stuff that I've been asked to draw.
Okay, so it's more the unknown that you've been asked to draw that you're like, no.
Yeah, no one. I've never really been approached to draw like lewd, weird, that kind of weird thing.
That is a rarity from what I understand.
It is a rarity. So
go you.
I think I think what's the term? Like I feel like I project the kind of person I am, and it's made apparent. People know that I wouldn't necessarily want to draw
They
that kind
can
of
sense
thing.
your integrity is what you're trying to.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's
So yeah.
fair enough.
So we had a request by Jordan Mitchell for some questions we're going to go over.
Okay.
Thanks, Jordan.
So what's your favorite superhero, Jerry?
Spider-Man.
What is yours, Buck?
Oh, my favorite superhero, like of all time, Zatanna. She's
What?
absolutely positively the best superhero of
Really?
all time. Yeah, she's the best comic book character, I should say.
Never heard you talk about her, like, ever.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well,
And it's not like your wife ever dresses up as her for superhero school.
all right. I had a dumb moment right there. Yeah. Okay. So Zatanna is absolutely positively the perfect comic book character just because you take a look at her and you can instantly tell that she's a magician,
Right.
right? Her comic book superpowers her superpowers are perfect for comic books.
That's true.
Like, if you were to try to adapt them to movies or TV or radio or anything else, you wouldn't quite understand exactly what's happening
Right.
off the bat. But with comics, you'll see her cast a spell, and how she casts spells is that she'll talk backwards. And you'll see something happen. You'll see her do a thing, and you'll see these letters on the page, and you think, why is she saying that? Oh, wait. If I read it backwards, you see what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good call. I
Yeah.
didn't think about the idea about translatability
Yeah.
to big screen or whatever.
It's her costume is sexy but not lewd.
Right.
So it's just so perfectly done that and then her character is she's sassy and she
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love her. She's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and if you're like, so Buck, who else are your favorite superheroes? I'm like, well, Mr. Miracle and Metamorpho and Red Tornado and The Thing and Beast,
Like a million.
and Death's Head, and yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, and I could go on and on for hours about each and every single one of them. But
Man, I feel so cliche. Name Spider-Man.
well, I mean, if I'm asked in public. Like, hey, what's your favorite comic character, or what's your favorite comic series? Like Batman, just because I don't want to have to like
Explain everything.
because there's a certain point that you'll start to explain things, and you'll just see the gloss go over people's eyes of "I'm sorry, I asked that." And it's one thing that I realized when talking about all this that I'm not sure everyone does is that just recently the nerd culture really became accepted.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So you can talk about some of this stuff, but you still have to be trepidatious about how far to go on some things before you lose people.
I keep wondering about that. Like my favorite comic book series was Next Wave.
Oh,
yeah.
very nice.
Yeah, and it's such an obscure title, and it's such an obscure idea. So trying to tell someone what that's about,
Well, and honestly, to try to explain it and still sound coherent,
right?
because so much happens in it, and everything is just so off the wall bonkers.
Oh yeah. But it's so well written and well drawn. I mean, Stuart Immonen, who's one of my favorite artists, you could tell he had total fun drawing it because he had such a unique style that he had with that one, which was different than all of his other work.
Right, and I think Warren Ellis played with that. I think this is one of those where this was such a good collaboration between writer and artist.
Absolutely.
That he would have a crazy idea, and then Stuart would do the, hey, what if we did this?
I bet you're right.
And I think that at one point they started to just try to outdo each other. And you can kind of tell that on the page.
Oh, yeah. I can totally see that.
But yeah, if anyone out there has not read Next Wave, it is phenomenal.
It really is. It's good. It's Marvel.
So yeah, who's your favorite superhero?
I would say Spider-Gwen.
Ah,
Why?
yeah.
I really like instead of okay, well this is Spider-Man and it's like the alternate universe and just all of that, and then it's like, oh, and she's a girl and she can do all these things and it's awesome. And I remember wearing this shirt too, this exact shirt 2 years ago at SoonerCon. And I had to explain not only why it was Venom, because this was before anything happened.
Before Gwenom.
Yeah, this was before Gwenom.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So
And for the people who are listening to the podcast, she's wearing a shirt of Spider-Gwen venomized.
Yeah.
And
Jerry, her face is up there.
Well, not yet. I mean, maybe.
Oh, Jerry.
wow. You are so bad.
Yep.
Go on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I had to not only explain, okay, well, this is an alternate universe and she gets bit and not, Peter Parker, and then explain, okay, well, and then this is, this is Venom, but then, total just glaze. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like what, Spider-Man?
I'm so sorry you asked, because here's what you asked for.
And this was someone who was sitting right next to me, so I had to be next to them for 3 days. And I learned really quick, like, they didn't know anything about comics, and they were just trying to be nice, and they're just like, oh, I like your shirt. Well, tell me about this person. And they were just like, nope.
That's hilarious. Mm-mm. That's so fun.
Yeah, I've always found, like, try to have a quick go-to, like, here's this. And with like Spider-Gwen, it's a different universe take on Spider-Man. It's his girlfriend this time. Mm-hmm. Sorry for bothering you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the adverse is like, embrace your fandom and just go full force and just like maybe you'll take them along for the ride.
Yeah.
But more often than not, no. Yeah. But
I used to be like, oh, and her costume's really pretty. That's why I like her. So who is your most underrated superhero?
Most underrated superhero?
Who do you think is underrated?
I feel like Howard the Duck is. And I don't think people think of him as a superhero, but
But he has a lot going for him right now.
Quack Fu.
He does. I know, right? He has had a resurgence, and I'm so thankful for Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, which is partly to blame for that. The movies,
and he's like the new Juggernaut now.
Wait, is he really? Oh man, I must be behind on some things.
JK, if you haven't read that.
So Lionel Yu actually is the one who sparked most of the resurgence of Howard the Duck.
Lionel Yu?
Yeah. So he was doing a whole bunch of stuff for Marvel. Right around Secret Invasion, kind of leading up to, and anytime that he would do a big group shot, because for whatever reason he kept getting asked to do all these group shots that had everyone, he would always throw in Howard the Duck.
That's right.
And the editors were like, "Man, can you not throw in Howard the Duck? Or why do you throw in Howard the Duck so much?" And he says, if you have this character who's such a rich character to draw from, why aren't you using him? Because he just makes your universe look better by having such a diverse cast of characters.
Absolutely.
You look at it as, we're trying to be silly and not take ourselves seriously. Where it's here's an oddity that you all could exploit.
Absolutely.
And then other artists got on the bandwagon with it and were like, we're with this. Let's bring back Howard.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had such a movement behind it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves a spotlight. I mean, there's such a rich history to that character. I was such a fan of the original comics, the original
movie,
and the original. I am. I know you were saying that to be joking, but
I grew up watching that movie so many times.
I know, right?
And then it came out on DVD, and then I realized it has duck boobies, and it is weird.
I know.
We didn't realize there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah. So
at the beginning, when we were kids.
Well, and I started playing it at the store because I picked up the movie and started playing it up here, just while we were sorting comics, doing that kind of stuff, and
Right.
it was that has naked ducks in it, which is weird. We can't play this at all.
Right. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
So yeah, we had to put the kibosh on that. So
Dang.
Well,
How about you?
Well, me for underrated?
Yeah.
I would probably have to say Red Tornado. He is, he's absolutely one of my favorite characters. There's an issue of Justice League that I read, and I haven't been able, or a DC special or something, that had a story of him learning about Christmas through the Justice League and just throwing his hands up and like, I don't get it. And at the end, you see everyone opening up these gifts that he gave them, and everyone's to tears about how sentimental and how wonderful of a gift that he gave, and he just didn't understand that. No, he got Christmas better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then as far as just like
Yay, robots.
yeah. As far as like his characterization and power set and all that, Brad Meltzer once described him as he's like a car that everyone only uses the headlights as a flashlight.
It's so funny you mentioned Brad Meltzer, because whenever I think of Red Tornado, I think my favorite story of him is the Brad Meltzer arc in Justice League when Brad Meltzer was writing it.
It was so good.
Such a great. Yeah, it gave me a whole new appreciation for Red Tornado. So yeah.
Yeah, and I loved him before that, but that was kind of the
I knew you.
Man. Yeah, and like the I would almost say Mr. Miracle would be tied for him, but Tom King is doing such a good job on his miniseries right now. Oh my God.
Oh, I haven't read it yet.
I don't know what animal I sacrificed, which proper god I prayed to, which other sacrilegious thing I could say. We are getting the best Mr. Miracle anything that I could have ever hoped for.
Seriously.
For realsies.
Okay. What did I read? When's the last? I haven't read Mr. Miracle since Grant Morrison. So
yeah,
that's very interesting.
It's so good. I'll get all those set back for you.
Okay.
Oh my God. All right. So, who do you think?
I think I'm going to go with Oracle.
Underrated, you say?
I think so. And then with like the retconning and all of that, like, come on.
That upset me so much, and not just for the sake of them taking away a for lack of a better term, a diversity slot. Taking away a character that filled that role in the DC universe was shocking to me, because it's such an integral part of the community and making sure that not everyone's stepping on each other's toes.
Is there anyone like her currently in the DC world?
No,
I didn't think so.
I mean, you could argue that like Amanda Waller is kind of calling the shots with the hey, we need people doing this.
Right.
Argus, go do this and tell your Justice League friends.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't see like the point to it, and it like there was such this amazing role that she filled, and she was so good at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like.
Well, and Barbara Gordon is absolutely my favorite Batgirl, but I appreciated that they had taken that character and moved on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And moved her into what turns out a better position.
It was.
And I liked how DC at the time was advancing their characters. They realized that they can't just spend 70 years rehashing the same stuff.
Right.
But, here we are today.
And what leads up to her being Oracle is such, like, come on.
Yeah.
What an amazing story is that? And
are you referring to
the killing joke?
Yeah. I mean, people remember that story to this day still, and I'm sure they're wondering, well, where is that version of her? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Favorite superhero movie?
Favorite superhero movie? Oh,
I know this one is really hard.
it is
Is
hard.
it?
I think it's hard because
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of style of movie you like, because there's so many different
there's so many different flavors, and there have been so many good ones lately, and those are what's on my mind right now.
Because I used to say I think my go-to answer had been Spider-Man 2, one Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you rewatched it and
No.
it didn't age well.
No.
People are gonna fight me over that one.
No, I know.
I know it.
Yeah, wait till this podcast is over. Anyway, but gosh,
I get it. It's Howard the Duck. You just didn't. Duck boobies and all.
no.
And I consider this to be live action movie. Because,
yeah.
Go to the animated movies. That's a whole other list.
Yep.
That's true. That's a completely different list because Big Hero 6 for me. But anyway, as far as live action movies, I think I would have to say, and people are gonna like have a fit when I say this. One of my favorites, and I watch it all the time, is Civil War, Captain America. Because because to me that was the Avengers, a movie that we did not get in part 2, and so I think people didn't know what they were going to get with this new Captain America movie. But to me, it felt like, these are the directors. I knew that these were going to be the directors that were doing the Infinity War movies, and it gave me an idea there. But it developed. I feel like they gave enough time for most of the characters, because ensemble movies I think are probably the most difficult types of superheroes to make. And I feel like they did it well. It was just well done. It was fun enough, and it still had some emotional arc, and it was dramatic enough. It was probably one of the more serious of them in tone, but it was still super fun. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah. How about you?
Iron Man, easily.
The first Iron Man.
First Iron Man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue that.
Yeah, it's it's a story about a guy who makes a really awesome suit out of a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
And
In a cave.
Well, yeah, and then he realizes that his business that he has isn't necessarily doing the best it can, and that it should be turned around and used for a force of good.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if we find Buck in a cave, that's what he's doing.
I like to think of this as my cave.
What about you, Stephanie?
I'm going to say Spider-Man Homecoming.
Good choice.
Because that was the Spider-Man movie that we had been waiting for, at least for me.
Right.
This was the Spider-Man movie.
I will say, when I talked about Spider-Man 2 being such a great movie, I know that there were a lot of issues in it that I didn't necessarily even agree with, but Homecoming was a great entrance for Spider-Man into the Marvel universe. Yeah, and I wasn't even like expecting some of the aspect. I love that they returned him to high school. He's a high school kid. I love that he kind of had a father figure in Tony Stark. I thought that was a great aspect, and Tony feels very responsible for him. So I love that aspect of the relationship that I didn't think we would get. So
And they didn't rehash the whole origin or Uncle Ben. Or...
Yeah.
No. Finally, they could do a movie and realize that everyone knows that story.
We all know this. Let's move on from it.
Absolutely.
And see what the suit is actually supposed to look like, and see some more awesome suits, and know.
And there's another reason that I love Civil War so much, because they kind of answered that origin story in one moment between Tony Stark and Peter Parker, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. Yeah, I would totally agree with that too.
Your best comic writer right now?
Best comic writer right now. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna say. There's so many good ones out here right now. I will say Dan Slott. He's gotten since I've gotten to know him as a writer. I've just really fallen in love with his storytelling. I think one of my most favorite stories that he did was when Dr. Octopus became Spider-Man.
Oh man.
People were so I think people were like really livid against it.
Yeah.
There was some backlash, but I mean, it was some of the best storytelling, and it propped Peter Parker into a new level of maturity or growth or whatever, over that span when it happened.
Right, and it was so well done that he had set up, and again, just like he did in Silver Surfer, he set up references before things had even happened.
Oh my gosh!
Like the time travel thing that he had in the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Yeah, where the Superior Spider-Man had to deal with newer Peter Parker and not realize that it wasn't him.
I know. It was so, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess there was a period where he was just given so much freedom because he did so many things
he's been given quite a bit of freedom, and he's about to take over Fantastic Four.
I know, which makes me so excited.
Have you read his Iron Man issue?
I have not.
It's beautiful.
I haven't.
So one of my favorite villains in the universe, Fin Fang Foom, shows up.
I saw that on the cover.
And if you loved Shogun Warriors ever, there may or may not be a new armor.
Shut up. Shut up.
Sorry, guys. Podcast is over. I am shutting up right now.
Oh, that makes me so excited. Dude, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's so good. And Jocasta there, and it's so well done.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's perfect for new fans and then people who've read all these comics and like know their continuity and their history.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it works on so many different levels.
Oh, I can't get that out of my head now.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, I have it over there on the shelf. It's for sale here at New World Comics, North Meridian, just south of 63rd Street in Oklahoma City.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so what about you?
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron. That's an
Oh
excellent
my
choice.
God, Jason Aaron. So I fell in love with Jason Aaron's writing on a book called Weird World. When they were doing Secret Wars at Marvel and according to them, restarting the Marvel Universe.
Right.
They put out all these different titles dealing with the aspect of this new world that Doctor Doom had created. And one of them was Weird World, and it looked awful. And it starred this character named Archon, that I have hated forever. He was on one of the X-Men cartoons, and I hated him there. He was in, there's so many X-Men annuals where oh, guys, Archon's here, or Avengers annuals. Archon's back. He's mad about people disrespecting him and his world or land that he rules. So it's terrible. So the book throws him out of his place trying to search for it, and he's trying to map this place that he got thrown into. And the world is constantly changing, so it's just this madness on paper, and he's running from the aquatic apes of Apelantis.
Nice.
And
I loved it,
he's running from Man-Thing the entire time. Like, Man-Thing got sicked on him, and he's using that to his advantage, knowing that, okay, well, that kind of tripped me up, so it might trip them up, so Man-Thing might catch up and get that. And, when Christar gets mentioned, it was all over for me. I was like, all right, I'm in. So then I went through and realized that there were so many things that Jason Aaron had written that I had loved, like Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yep.
When it was,
I love that. Yeah.
And his entire Thor run is just amazing.
I've only just read just a tiny bit of it. I know.
And the current series is just so great. That Thori, his dog.
Oh yeah. Oh, that dog
God.
is
That's the new breakout character this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
And he's, I've met him at cons, and he sells his books. I guess he gets those comp copies, as a writer, and he'll sell them at his cons super cheap. So I got his Wolverine omnibus for like $40.
What?
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, God help him whenever I meet him, because I can keep pretty good composure when I meet people, and I'm gonna fanboy so hard when I meet him, and just oh my God, yeah.
And he actually, when he did Star Wars, when Marvel got Star Wars back, his Star Wars stories were super fun.
It felt like missing movies.
Yes.
Like they were so perfectly done, and I keep trying to tell everyone, and they're like, I don't want to read any of the Star Wars comics. They're not real. But Lucasfilm came out and said, hey, these are part of actual continuity, we're going to be using these for the movies.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, because after the latest movie, not Solo, but it turns out they don't have such a strong plan. But it looked like everything was building towards something, and these were filling in the gaps, and it's just phenomenal. I can't recommend them enough.
No, absolutely.
So, Stephanie, how about you? Favorite writer?
I'm gonna say, currently Ryan North.
Yeah.
For Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm enjoying so much.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Like I got one of the hardcovers, and I think I was like 3 chapters in, and realized that there was these little tiny sentences at the bottom of every page. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, I gotta go back.
You have to go all the way back.
I had to go all the way back. It was just insane. I mean,
and how referential they are. And,
yes. Yeah. No, it's very clever. It's clever stuff. I love it.
That's fair. I really wish that we would see more from him, but I mean, if he's given his all on Squirrel Girl, and he very well might, then keep at it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Well, cool. That's those are just some of the questions that Jordan Mitchell had submitted to us. So if there's anything that you all want to have us ask or tackle on future podcasts, message us.
Put them in the comments.
Yeah, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Because this probably isn't the only time we're going to have Jerry on.
Probably not.
I mean, knowing him, he's going to want to come back every week, but no.
I crash parties often.
Yeah, it's awkward. He'll eat all of your food. No. I digress. So before we get to the showstopper here, is there anything that you wanna add? Comments, questions?
Gosh.
New World Comic Con, you'll be there.
I will, and I don't know if they've shown.
I guess right now would be a real good time to show.
We're going to show the t-shirt
the
design
t-shirt design
right now.
It's right here, possibly.
Is it? Oh,
it will be.
I love technology. So,
yeah.
So
magic.
I've been fortunate to be able to do the t-shirt design every year, and so I just have fun with it. And we always have we have fun. We had fun coming up with the theme for each year.
Each year it's been Die Hard themed, and we use the store's more or less unused mascot Roblox, which we need to get back to.
I'm sure a lot of people realize when they see the shirt, like, what is that about?
Who is that guy? Yeah,
right. So yeah.
So we used to feature him pretty heavily in the commercials, and always like, hey, ask for Roblox, and no one ever did.
I know.
So fun story about the commercials, real quick. We had done this ad campaign, and the very first one played like a Wednesday night during South Park on 43. And we're like, everyone involved in the store was just so excited to see this new commercial. So it played, and it was like, everyone remembers how fun comic books were. We'll come check it out here, New World Comics, and
Yeah.
So the next ad was for Wilkie Credit Union, and it started off. Hey, do you remember wasting your money on baseball cards and comic books?
Oh, no way. For real?
Yeah, for real.
Oh, my gosh.
So I talked to my ad guy. I was like, can we have that not happening?
Seriously?
Yeah. Because, everyone's like, yeah, I played, and then, that happened, and it took all the wind out of everyone's heads.
Oh, that's sad.
So hilarious. I can laugh at it now because,
Right.
What can you do? But, at the time, it was the, oh. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Nice.
Well, if you don't have anything else you want to throw at us, or do you?
No. I'm just
not this
happy
time.
I always have things here and there, so I'm sure I'll let you all know.
Well, cool. Well, I think right here is about the time where we go over what we normally do. This has been told to me as people told me that this story that I'm about to share is the craziest thing that's ever happened at the store. And
yes,
I'd say it's up there.
Far.
I mean, ... Not that I want anything to necessarily top it, but
yes.
To me, this is probably the most nuts thing that's happened. 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer than that now. I was at one of these tables working on comics, pricing, bagging, taping, and this guy walks in, and the guy at the counter greeted him, and he comes straight over to me and hands me a Green Lantern ring. It's out of this toy set that had just come out. It was a ring and mask set, and I look up, and the guy is in a Sharpied version of that mask, and I realize that he's got the mask on, a top hat, and he's got a whole get-up. I said, "Hi." He says, "Hi, citizen. I'm Metalhead. Here's a gift for you." And I think to myself, okay, I can either make fun of this guy like the jerk that I am, or I'll probably get more mileage out of this if I ask some serious questions. And thank God
which was a much smarter decision.
Yeah, which we have now found out just 3 or 4 days ago is the smartest decision I've made. So I said, well, Metalhead, what's going on here? He says, I am Oklahoma City's first superhero. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, thank you for the gift, Metalhead. What are your superpowers? He says, well, I found out that I'm unkillable. And I said, oh my God, how did you find out that you were unkillable? That sounds like it would have been horrific. He says, Murrah bombing, 9/11, DC museum shooting, I survived them all. And in my head, I thought, well, so did I. But I mean, proximity is kind of the key there, kid. But yeah, not to say that he necessarily wasn't involved in any of that, but I'm giving it, what I'm judging his age to be. I don't think he was around for most of those. So he said that he went to a fortune teller and she read his hand and started looking at the lines and said, oh my God, you'll never believe this, but you're unkillable. Right? So, this kid came in with a top hat on with a scarf around it, the Sharpied mask, a jacket that he'd torn the sleeves off.
And he had some fishnets.
He had the fishnet sleeves, some rings. He had like a key hanging off of his belt. Black pants, black boots, studded belt, and he had this shirt that he had drawn his logo on.
What?
It was an MH logo for Metalhead. And the earphones around his neck also screamed that he was a big metalhead.
Nice.
Metalhead, yeah. But he had tucked his shirt in, so like the H for his Metalhead logo was in his pants. So, we should have a picture of him here.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Wow.
For now, unless like legal reasons make us take it down, and then should have caught it while you could see it. But so I started asking Metalhead things like, where do you patrol, and what do you how does all this go down? And he says, well, I typically patrol right around my apartment. That's kind of the northwest part of town. I'm like, that's not necessarily one of the toughest parts of town. He says, no, but usually I'll go around and pose on rooftops with my sidekicks. I was like, you have sidekicks? He says, yeah. It's the girls that like to dress up and pose with me. Like, okay, well, Metalhead's a player. Got it.
Metalhead's a player.
Cool.
Wow.
I mean, he did have a top hat.
He did have a top hat, which is, more than I can say.
Wow.
Later, I got a top hat. So, I asked him a few more questions, and then he just kind of goes off to the back corner of the store and starts shopping.
Oh.
Well, shopping, doesn't he pull?
Well, so I go, I don't hear from him for a couple minutes, and I go over, and his mask is off, and he's reading comics. He's sitting on the floor reading comics. I said, Metalhead, I probably shouldn't see your secret identity, for one. He says, I can trust you. You're one of the good guys. And, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, he asked if the store could be his lair.
Really?
Yeah, that's why he was like, can this be my lair? I said, I don't think we're insured for that kind of business, metalhead. I mean, heroes, they tend to attract the wrong crowd.
Wow.
As far as I've read.
In Northwest Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was talking to him, hey, maybe you should get your mask back on. So he puts his mask back on, and I say, Metalhead, I'm going to have to ask you to stop reading the comics right now. He says, why? I said, well, technically it's stealing. You're reading them without paying for them. And, I understand flipping through them to see if you like it, but I mean, you can't really read the whole thing. He says, oh. I said, yeah, it's kind of against the law. He says, oh, well, we can't have that, can we, citizen? So he asked, he asked about a few other products and then left, wished us farewell. And away he went. So just to make sure that this was a real thing, his picture got posted on Facebook, and thank God other people saw him. They're like, yeah, I've seen that guy walking around. Yeah, I know that guy. Like, I know where that guy patrols. Like, I've seen him.
Knows where that guy patrols.
Well, because I mean, you can have photographic evidence, and it not be a thing. I've seen pictures of ghosts. It doesn't necessarily mean that ghosts are real. So, Metalhead could have been an anomaly.
Yeah.
So, so years later, like right after I was recounting the tale of Metalhead, this guy walks in, and he looks just mad. And he goes right over to one of my workers, and I'm sitting back with the crowd that I had just kind of told this story to. And he says, man, I almost got in a fight. And my worker's like, what happened? He says, I just got out of the gym, and this guy was staring at me. So I said, what are you staring at? And he chased him down, and yeah. And the guy ran away, so he didn't fight. But this was this guy's idea of getting in a fight. And the more he was rambling at my worker, I realized, oh my God, I think this guy is Metalhead. So when he finally got done talking to John, he was on his way out, and I said, sir, I need to ask you. And I lowered my voice. I said, are you Metalhead? And he looks at me, tilts his head, and says, Metalhead's dead. I said, but Metalhead was unkillable. And he looked around, and he thought for 20 seconds, just, a little bit longer than he should have. And he said, Metalhead will rise again. And he left, like in the most dramatic, flare, like he left.
Sachet.
Yeah. So that was several years ago that happened. And I was again recounting the tale of Metalhead, and one of my friends says, oh my God, I think I know him. I think I know him. This is his name.
Oh.
And, I Facebook stalked him. And he, the kudos to Metalhead. This could or could not be him.
Okay.
The mask worked, and the top hat definitely, I would say, concealed his identity enough that in a court of law, I could not say yes, that is Metalhead. But
seriously,
but we have a jaw basically to compare.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you essentially have like Batman or Green Lantern. Like you don't have.
So you tracked him down on Facebook?
Well, using the name that was given to us by a friend.
Right.
So my friend was also still in contact with him, and this person no longer lives in state. And according to him, the individual known as Metalhead may or may not have been on drugs. So he said, have you ever been a real life superhero? He said, man, I don't know. I was on a lot of drugs. So Metalhead doesn't know his own secret identity. How amazing is that?
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that the greatest?
Wow.
Isn't that like that's the capper? Like when he told me that, it was oh my God, I know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. What am I going to do with this?
Right.
Or I guess more importantly, it's that Spider-Man's Peter Parker.
As it,
What are you going to do with that? Like,
but Peter Parker, but in this scenario, Peter Parker didn't remember that he was Spider-Man.
Right,
Right.
but I mean, like, what are we going to out this guy and be like, hey, you dressed up like, like,
Yeah,
it doesn't do
yeah,
anything.
no.
But it's and if anyone does know it, like, please keep it under. It's a far better legend than anything.
Yeah.
Have it, but it's just such a fun story to tell.
Oh yeah, definitely. One for infamy.
Yes.
Yes.
He's infamous. That means more than famous, right?
Works for me.
Yeah. I think that wraps it up for the New World Podcast 3.
I think we're good. Unless you want to hang out for like another hour.
I mean, I'm here anyway. So,
Right.
well, thanks, folks, for listening. And you can catch us on a ton of different...
all the things.
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Spreaker, whoever came up with that name.
Yeah, good job.
Thanks, and listen for us next week and check
Yeah.
out New World Comic Con coming
some
July
comments.
28th. Yeah, leave some comments.